Welcome. Today we will be exploring two important concepts in population biology, that is, survivorship curves and age structure. These tools helps us to understand not only how individuals survive through life but also how population as a whole are distributed by age. Together, they give scientists, policymakers, and educators insight into health, growth, and future planning. Think of them as the heartbeat and the skeleton of population. One shows how long individuals live, while other shows who's around at any given time. A survivorship curve is essentially a graph that tracks the number of individuals in a population who survive to different ages. On x-axis, we have age categories, and on y-axis, the number of survivors, often plotted on logarithmic scale. This curve helps us detect pattern in mortality and longevity. Just like a fingerprint tells us something unique about a person, survivorship curves tells us unique stories about different species and their survival strategies. Ecologists generally describe three main types of survivorship curves: type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 1 shows low mortality early in life, with most individuals surviving into old age before dying. Humans in developed countries are a classic example. The type 2 shows a constant risk of death at early age, such as in many birds. Type 3 is the flip side. Many die at young age, but a lucky few survive to adulthood, which we can see in organisms like oysters or plants producing hundreds of seeds. When we talk about type 1 curves, represent species that invest heavily in a small number of offsprings. Parents in these species typically provide care and protection, ensuring most young survive into adulthood. Mortality doesn't spike until much later in life. For example, in humans, wealthier nations fit to this model, as do elephants and primates. These organisms follow what is often called K-selected strategy, prioritizing quality of offspring over quantity. The drawback of this type of curve is environmental conditions suddenly shift population may not rebound quickly. While as in type 2 curves, the chance of dying is equal at early age, survival looks like a straight line, declining steadily from birth onwards. This means babies are just to die as adults or older individuals. Examples include many small birds, lizards, and rodents that live in a dynamic environment. They don't experience huge protection in youth nor extreme vulnerability, only in old age. The risk is pretty evenly distributed. It is a mild ground survival pattern. Type 3 species produce huge number of offsprings because most will not survive past childhood. For example, think of a sea turtle laying hundreds of eggs on beach with only handful reaching maturity, or a tree dispersing thousands of seeds, most of which never sprout. This strategy, often described as R-selected, ensures species persistence despite or huge juvenile mortality. Once survivors pass those early stages, however, they often live long and successful adult lives. Survivorship curves are more than just graph in textbooks. They allow wildlife managers to identify endangered species at greatest risk. They help public health researchers understand where deaths are concentrated in human populations. Insurance companies and pension funds even use age-specific mortality data to explain future payout. In short, survivorship curves bridge biology, economics, and public policy because knowing who lives and for how long drives everything from healthcare design to retirement planning. Of course, not everything fits neatly into three categories. Many species show patterns that shift over time or combine aspects of different curves. Humans in developing countries, for instance, may still suffer high infant mortality, that is type third traits, but also live relatively long lives if they reach adulthood, more like type 1. Environmental events like droughts, pandemic, and or wars can also alter curves dramatically. So while they are helpful models, survivorship curves are simplification of a richer reality. Now let us pivot to age structure. This refers to how individuals are distributed across age groups in population, usually presented as age pyramids with young at the bottom and elderly at the top. Age structure is vital because it determines future growth potential. A population packed with children will grow quickly once they reach reproductive age, while one dominated by the elderly may shrink. It's like looking into demographic crystal ball. The three common shapes of age pyramids, that is expansive with wide base representing population with high birth rate and many young people like Niger. This is the first type 1 expansive type of pyramid. Then the stationary, that is type 2, are more rectangular, indicating balanced births and death rates seen in the country like United States. And the last one is type 3, that is constrictive pyramid, have a narrow base compared to the middle or top, representing aging populations with low fertility, classic in nations like Japan. The shape immediately tells you what is the story underlying. This type 1 type of pyramid in the population will show the very exponential or expanding type of growth. This shows a stabilizing, the type 2 shows a stabilizing type of growth, and type 3 shows the dying population. In future, the number of individuals will drastically reduce. Survivorship curves and age structure are the two sides of same coin. For instance, type 3 species tend to have population with expansive base, full of young individuals but with high early mortality. Type 1 societies often have constrictive pyramids reflecting fewer children but more elderly survivors. These two demographic tools reinforce each other, giving us a deeper picture of population dynamics. It's like layering X-ray images. We see the bones and the organs together. Now let's have a look on some case studies. For example, Japan is a textbook example of constructive age pyramid combined with type 1 survivorship curve. Thanks to advanced healthcare, most of the people survive into old age, but with low fertility rates. The younger generation is shrinking. This creates significant challenges, fewer work age people to support pensions and healthcare, alongside an early elderly population that requires intensive care. Japan is investing in robotics, elder care technology and immigration to ease these pressures, but the demographic shift remains dramatic. Here in the picture you can see how in future the population will decline over the period of time, and if they didn't take up the policies regarding increasing their fertility rates in the country. On the other side is the Niger, exemplifies an expensive pyramid leaning towards type 3 pattern. Birth rates are extremely high and half of the population is under 15. Child mortality remains significant, but with medical improvement, more young people survive. This creates opportunity, often called as demographic dividend. And if the country invests in education and employment for its youth without opportunities, however, this youthful surge can lead to poverty traps, instability, or migration pressures. The stakes are very high. Talking of our motherland, India represents a fascinating example of population in demographic transition. Its age pyramid still shows an expansive base, but the base is beginning to narrow as fertility rates decline and life expectancy rises. With nearly two-thirds of the population under the age of 35, India holds the potential for a major demographic dividend. An economic advantage if this large working age group is healthy, educated, and productive employed. The challenge lies in providing sufficient jobs, infrastructure, and healthcare. Looking ahead to 2050, India's population is projected to stabilize and gradually age, moving towards more balanced stationary pyramid structure. Broadly, the world is moving towards type 1 survivorship with declining child mortality, longer livings. Longer lives. However, global fertility has fallen too. By 2050, for the first time in history, there will be more elderly people worldwide than children under 5. This shift has massive implications. Pension systems under strain, increased demands for elder care, but also greater experience and knowledge among population. Different countries will face very different challenges depending upon their place in this. To summarize, survivorship curves tells us about when deaths occur along the lifespan, while age structure shows who makes up population at a given time. Together, these concepts help us to predict growth, stability, and or decline. They also extend far beyond biology, informing economics, healthcare policy, conservation, and sustainable planning. Understanding survivorship and age structure isn't just for scientists, it is a roadmap for societies planning their future in a rapidly changing world. I hope you liked the lecture. Please share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.